as easily as there was a false start on the play.
Motto
Like
alongside Sam Felicia,
like
and let's get into our first topic. As of yesterday, Antonio Brown is officially a member of the Raider Nation. After removing himself from the Buffalo offer, Brown is now a member of the Raiders organization. Sam, does this trade make sense?
I think it makes complete sense. I think that after them getting rid of Amari Cooper for that first-round pick and then picking up Antonio Brown for just a third and a fifth, regardless of how big the contract was, I think them being able to pick up the stud wide receiver that he is, I think is a perfect situation for them.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think the Raiders, you look at their team, they really struggled in the passing game last season. 18 overall in league-wide statistics. They had the 18th ranked passing offense. Derek Carr really did not have a premier weapon after they traded Amari Cooper. So the fact is they definitely needed to fill Cooper's shoes. And you know what? You got the number one receiver in the NFL. It made great sense for the Raiders, and they got him at a relatively low cost. They traded Cooper for a first, and they were able to pull AB for a third and a fifth. So to me, I think it's a really good move. He instantly improves that offense. But the one thing is you really have to wonder about the drama. The Raiders they're a very storied franchise, and you have a player like AB who left the Steelers because he didn't get enough targets. He really, his entire relationship collapsed with Big Ben. So the fact is, you got a new quarterback, and there's going to be questions.
All right, on to our next question. The new NFL league year is set to begin Wednesday at 3 p.m. One of the biggest questions currently out there is where Le'Veon Bell will end up in free agency. So where do you think he's going to end up when the season starts?
So, there's a lot of rumors going out there. Jets, Colts, teams that have a lot of cap space, even the Raiders. But to me, I think he ends up in the Bay Area, not Oakland, but in San Francisco. Last year, the Niners went out and signed Jerick McKinnon, but you know what? McKinnon tore his ACL, and they definitely need a premier running back. And to me, if I'm Bell, I go to San Francisco because you know what? That entire relationship collapsed in Pittsburgh, so I don't really know if it makes sense to go play with AB again.
I think that he's going to sign with the Jets. I think they have the second most cap space available. I don't think that the Colts are going to be able to really going to want to allocate the money towards him. Chris Ballard has been very adamant about trying to make this team as young as possible. And with the 49ers selection, I think that with them signing Jerick McKinnon, as you mentioned, he had that $44 million deal. I just think that it's not a good signing for them, especially now that they got Quan Alexander. They give him one of the biggest contracts available for inside linebacker, more than Luke Kuechly per year. And they got Matt Breida with a late-round pick just in last year's draft, which was a great pickup for them. He was really able to shine when McKinnon went down. So I think that getting Le'Veon Bell should be the least of the 49ers' concerns.
Moving on to the MLB, Bryce Harper just recently signed a 13-year, $330 million deal with the Phillies. The contract also makes room for a potential $10.4 million bonuses throughout the length of the contract. So was this deal good on his part?
I think the deal was great on his part. I think that his ability to really work the system, wait for Manny Machado to go after what he was able to do, leaving Los Angeles and going to San Diego with the Padres. I think Bryce Harper's able to put himself in a better position. He has already come out, actively recruited Mike Trout to the Phillies, and he gets to stay in a relatively close area to where he used to play in Washington with his wife. So I think it's a perfect situation for him.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it makes a lot of sense on his part because, the Phillies, they're a young team. They're growing. They have a great pitching staff headed by Jake Arrieta, the former Cubs pitcher, and they have a very young team. They just signed Rhys Hoskins. So the fact is, this team is trending upward. I mean, I'm not really sure you could say the same about the Nationals and other likely destinations, the Yankees. Everyone likes to link everyone to the Yankees, but I don't know if it made sense for him financially because he really wanted a max contract, and I don't think the Yankees could have given him the money that he wanted.
Definitely. I think, like you mentioned, everybody says that everybody's going to the Yankees. Just like in basketball, everybody's going to the Lakers. And I think that him going to Philly, being able to stay in that division, his familiarity with all the pitching staffs that are in that division, I think the Phillies did a great job. And regardless of it being a 13-year deal, he's going to end when he's 39 years old. It was kind of the same contract that A-Rod got when he went to the Yankees. So I think that it's a perfect situation for them. Like you mentioned, they are a young team with Arrieta, Hoskins. They're in a great situation. So As we mentioned, Bryce Harper, he did get the 13-year, $330 million. Machado got 13 years, $300 million. And Mike Trout's probably going to get an even bigger deal than that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, right now we're going to go to a break, but coming up next, we'll talk about if the Lakers should trade LeBron James.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion. Learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Set to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.
Welcome back to What's Your Point on WTOP 10. Alongside Sam Palicia, I'm Ben Gramato.
All right, and for our next segment, while commentating the Lakers-Celtics, in which LeBron James pulled off a triple-double, Jeff Van Gundy said that the Lakers should consider trading him at the end of the season, believing that the Clippers would be a good option. He was immediately met with intense criticism on social media. Is he right, or is he way off with that statement?
Well, the fact of the matter is, Sam, I think he is right. You know, you look at this Lakers team, very young team, but they really lack, real talented players. They're young players. They traded away Russell. They got rid of Brook Lopez, all to create cap space for LeBron James and potentially Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. But, that entire thing really backfired on them because they lost out on D'Angelo Russell, and instead they replaced him with Lonzo Ball. And, yes, Lonzo Ball is he's an elite defender. Sorry, I got a little tripped up on my words. But anyways, Lonzo Ball is an elite defender, but what he's not is an offensive playmaker. D'Angelo Russell this year has been putting up historic numbers for the Nets. And, getting rid of him wasn't really the move. But I know we're talking about James, but LeBron's getting older. The Lakers really lack stars, and I think they just need some more assets to build this team.
Yeah, I think that the idea of trying to get rid of LeBron James, I completely disagree. I think that he's arguably the greatest player of all time. I don't think you could trade away him for whatever you're able to get back from whatever team you trade him to. You're not going to be able to get the same compensation back. And the amount of cap space that they're going to have going into next offseason is going to be an insane amount of money. They're going to be able to sign 2 more max players to a deal, and them being able to get rid of D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle allowed them to get that type of money. So I think that getting rid of him would be a terrible disaster, and I really don't think that it's feasible because I think Magic Johnson and LeBron both made it an obvious idea that they came into here.
Definitely. Keeping it on with the basketball theme, over the weekend there were a lot of quality NCAA basketball games. The Syracuse-Clemson game, not one of them. Q suffered a monumental collapse, and now they sit on the bubble for yet another season. What went wrong there?
In that game, early into the second half, about at the 16-minute mark, Clemson went on a big 14-0 run to really separate themselves from Syracuse. Syracuse really isn't the team that can kind of come back from that. They were down early in the second half. Foul trouble continued. They got out rebounded 45 to 30. They had a 15 rebound advantage. Clemson did. So I think it put Syracuse in a huge hole.
To me, it all comes down to that second half performance because you look at this recent stretch of games for the Orange. They played Duke, UVA, and UNC in all these games, including the Clemson game. They had the lead going into halftime. So to me, this Cuse team cannot play in the second half at all. They have quality playmakers. Their defense is really good in the first half, and they're putting up really good shooting performances. Their guard play is amazing in the first half, but in the second half, all of that falls apart. And you know what? Going into the tournament, in the ACC tournament, they're going to really need to put together a full game performance because recently they're just playing one half of basketball and packing things up and calling it quits after that.
Definitely. On to our next topic. Okay, so Duke and UNC went at it again this weekend, and the Tar Heels completed the season sweep of the Blue Devils. Zion Williamson sat on the bench again, being held back from his injury. Ben, after seeing this, should Zion come in as the savior for March Madness and push, or should he play it safe the rest of the season?
Well, to me, Duke definitely needs Zion Williams. We have seen an absolute two different teams from Duke this season, and that is because Zion Williamson has been in the lineup and he hasn't been. And Duke needs this player. He's the best player in college basketball. He's the face of college basketball for a reason. But if I am Zion Williamson, I don't play the rest of the season. You're just risking, you're a top 3 pick guaranteed right now. Why risk all that just to play in the NCAA tournament? He doesn't need it.
I think because the thing is that he's going to be able to get a shoe deal. He's going to get the money regardless. I think that his injury, if he even worsens it, he's still a first-round pick. He's still going to be able to have an ability to really put Duke over the edge in the NCAA tournament. They'll probably end up being an Elite 18 without him, but him being in the lineup is going to be huge for them. So I think that Zion should come in during March Madness, not during the regular season, during March Madness. Maybe even if he sits out the 1-64 round, it's going to be an even bigger pickup for Duke, knowing that he's going to be coming into that 32-round matchup.
Here's the thing. Michael Porter Jr. was pretty much a guaranteed top 5 pick. He got hurt. He played again last season. He got hurt again. He fell all the way to 15, and he hasn't even played in the NBA yet. What was the point of that, just to play college hoops? No, he's on the bench right now. He hasn't played at all. I don't think Zion should risk it. He's just too good of a player.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that Michael Porter got put into a perfect situation with Denver. I mean, Denver has a beautiful lineup. I mean, we have Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Nikolai Jokic, and Paul Millsap. Michael Porter Jr. has a perfect opportunity to sit on the bench, learn during the offseason, and being able to give himself an ability to learn in an NBA system. Like we see D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle, as we mentioned before, they took forever to try and get off on the right foot. They had a bad start with the Lakers, and they gave up on them, I think, a bit too early when Julius went to New Orleans and D'Angelo went to Brooklyn. They both excelled. D'Angelo this year is an all-star candidate. He got in on the very last bit with the injury that happened. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for Zion.
What happens if Duke runs into a team like Michigan in the tournament?
I think if they have Zion Williamson, they can easily beat Michigan. I think that if they don't have him, it will be tough. But R.J. Barrett is still going to be able to have a. And I think that R.J. Barrett is definitely a perfect opportunity for the team. I think that he has the ability to really take the team off to a good start, and even with Trey Jones.
Moving on, we are now going to be talking about the number 2 team in the country. That is the University of Virginia Cavaliers men's basketball team, and they will kick off their ACC tournament play on Thursday against the winner of NC State and Clemson in pursuit of an automatic spot in the March Madness tournament. Virginia is considered to be by many analysts to be the favorite to win the ACC tournament, and a lot of people are them to win the NCAA tournament as well. Who do you think? Do you think Virginia is going to win the tournament? And if so, who are going to be the teams that will really run into them being a problem for them?
I think every year Virginia comes into this tournament. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country. They always have a top 5 BPI ranking. They're one of the teams that you always have to watch out for, but their three-point shooting really is what holds them back. Everybody says you live by the 3, die by the 3, but in today's world, as a basketball team, you need to be able to shoot the 3 at a consistent rate, at least over 30%, if you're going to be a positive team in the NCAA bracket. And with Virginia really not having that ability over a consistent amount of years, I think it allows teams to play them a certain style, which allows them to not even to advance into the top 16 bracket.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that because I think this UVA team is a different Cavaliers team that we've seen in the past. Their defensive efficiency, they're normally a great defensive team, but their defensive efficiency this year is off the charts. And their ability just to hit shots, you look at that Cuse game, 18 for 25, which is a historic three-point shooting percentage by the Cavaliers. So I think this is the year Virginia get it done, and they are my favorites to win the NCAA tournament.
Coming up after the break, we go super fast in the lightning round.
And only the strong will survive. We'll see you after the break.
The second I got on the campus, I knew Oswego was the place to go.
There's a place for everybody at Oswego.
This school just opens the world to you. Have the opportunity to explore and to learn so many different things, not only about yourself, but the people around you and the world.
It definitely is about the student. I felt it to be very about me.
Now that I'm here, I can't imagine myself anywhere else.
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
David Richey. I mean, they were. Do you think Bryce Harvey is Tommy John survivor? Nathan Evaldi.
Welcome back to What's Your Point? Right now we're going to get into our fastest segment, and that is the lightning round. One of the most talked about players at the Combine was Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray. Sam, do you believe he's a top pick in the draft?
Oh, he definitely should be the top pick in the draft. Coming out of Oklahoma, we saw what Baker Mayfield was able to do with the Browns. I think having him on the field is going to be an insane uptick for the Arizona Cardinals. I think that he's going to be able to. I think he's going to be able to bring this team to another level. With David Johnson coming back, having 1 full year of health, he's going to be able to do something very special with Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going to disagree. I think it's too quick to move on from Josh Rosen. He was just a rookie last season, and especially with that offensive line and without David Johnson, you know, he really wasn't given much opportunity to succeed in that poor offensive system. You got a new coach like Cliff King.
All right, on to our next question. Deshaun Jackson is headed to the Eagles. Will he be productive in Philly, or will he be a bust?
You know, Jackson's getting to be, you know, he's going towards the end of his career age-wise, but you know what he was able to do last year in Tampa Bay was pretty amazing with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. So I think, you know, you give him Carson Wentz, you give him a better offensive system, in Philadelphia, and I think he's going to have a really big year.
I actually disagree. I think that the offensive system that Tampa Bay was able to put in, they had the #1 passing attack in the league. They averaged over 440 yards per game through the air with Dirk Cutter there. I think that having him in Philly with Alshon Jeffrey, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, I think that's too many mouths to feed there in Philly.
Ole Miss wide receiver DK Metcalf put up an unbelievable combine, but is he worth a top 10 pick?
I think he is worth a top 10 pick, especially for a team like Buffalo, as a team that really doesn't have a #1 wide receiver to go out there and do something with. I think that the numbers that he put up at the Combine, plus the numbers that he put up at Ole Miss, really is going to help out Buffalo in the long run with a young quarterback like Josh Allen.
I don't think he is. He was Ole Miss's second wide receiver last season. You know, he really hasn't put up great numbers in college. Yes, he's an athletic beast, but even recently, top 10 wide receivers haven't been that good. You look at Sammy Watkins, traded from Buffalo. John Ross, players like, Corey Davis. I don't think he's worth the top 10 pick.
All right, on to our next question. Are Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid the real deal in the NBA? And can they bring a championship to Philly?
I think they are, and I think they might be able to bring a championship to Philly, but, it's going to be way down the line because, you still have the Warriors, you still have teams like Boston and like Denver, and Philly's just so young. I don't think they have the experience, the talent to win it right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's too much going on in the East for the NBA. With Giannis and the Bucks, what they're putting out there, and Chris Middleton being an All-Star this year, with what Boston's able to put onto the floor with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, if he decides to stay next season, and I think that really a low-key team that you have to look out for in the playoffs this year is the Miami Heat. We saw what Derrick Jones was able to do the other night. I think that they have an extreme ability to be one of those sleeper teams that knock out an early seed in the playoffs.
The Golden State Warriors have dropped 4 of their last 6 games. Are they still favorites to win the NBA championship, or are they doomed?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that they're not the favorites. I mean, they have an all-star lineup, 1 through 5. They could easily beat the starting team for the USA men's Olympic team. I think that there's nothing really in their way. They've shown that they've been able to do it without Kevin Durant and without DeMarcus Cousins. Adding both of them on the floor, I think they're easily the championship favorites.
You know what? I would say that, but I think the way that Oklahoma City has played, their defense, and the performance by Paul George this season, I think they have the talent, the roster, and just the team itself has the makeup to stop Golden State.
All right, on to our next question. Actually, we'll get into our next questions in the next round.
We will now go to a break, but after that, we will bring you our hot takes of the week. Stay right here on WTOP 10. You're watching What's Your Point?
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Here at WTOP, we pride ourselves on delivering you all the news you need to know from the day's events.
Whether it's happened on Capitol Hill or right here in Oswego,
we make sure you know all about it. We keep you up to date on all your favorite
Oswego and professional sports.
And our Storm Team 10 meteorologist will make sure that you know exactly what weather you're up against when you start your day.
Every Monday through Thursday night, make sure to tune in to Channel 10.2, because at WTOP, we don't just tell you the news.
We are
the news.
Welcome back to What's Your Point on WTOP 10. Ben Gramato alongside Sam Policia, and now we're going to get into our final segment where we will be bringing you our hottest takes of the week, and that is the hot take. So my hot take of the week is the Raiders should have kept Amari Cooper and avoided the mess that they'll surely get into with Antonio Brown. Now, I know it sounds crazy. Antonio Brown is surely the best wide receiver in the NFL. But with that, the whole Mr. Big Chest thing, he brings so much drama. And his contract, he's worth the money with his performance on the field. But what he brings off the field. You get a player like Amari Cooper, 6 years younger, really level-headed. You know, you don't see the drama with Cooper. He never is in the headlines for anything other than his performance on the field. And the way he ended that regular season last year in Dallas, a team that really isn't that prolific of a passing offense. He was really just to revive their entire offense, and he was the reason why they made that push to the playoffs. So I think Oakland messed up by getting rid of Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, they probably did mess up getting rid of Cooper, but I mean, with getting AB, the best wide receiver in the NFL, he's constantly over 1,200 yards receiving per season. That might be because of the offense that he plays in. The Steelers have a stellar offensive line. Big Ben's a Hall of Famer. And I think Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell and James Conner are both all-pro running backs in that offense. So, I mean, do you really think that AB's that bad of a situation off the field that he won't be able to produce on the field for the Oakland Raiders?
I mean, you know, I think the Raiders are already a circus. You know, John Gruden comes in, he trades away probably the best player in the NFL, and he goes out and says a couple weeks later to the media, we need pass rushers. You had a pass rusher. You had the best defensive player in the NFL, and he's just creating a circus. And now they want to bring in AB? Come on. This was a big mistake, and I don't think they should have ended up getting him. I know they needed a wide receiver, but, you know, Brown, he's 30 years old, and they're a rebuilding team.
All right, on to our next hot take. Mine is Nick Foles seems legit, but I think he's going to be gone halfway through this deal. I think that the total of the deal is 4 years, $88 million, and he has an opportunity to make a total of $102 million through the deal. But he's 30 years old. He's never shown the ability to be a true starting NFL quarterback in this league. And being on a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, with a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think that there's not enough offensive firepower for him to succeed like there was in Philly.
Well, I don't think necessarily he has never been a successful quarterback in the NFL. I just don't think he can succeed on Jacksonville. You know, they fired their offensive coordinator last season. They don't really have any weapons on offense. Leonard Fournette is possibly out the door, you know, a former top pick, you know, at running back. So I really don't think he'll succeed in Jacksonville. Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching. This has been What's Your Point on WTOP 10.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
Hey guys, when we're not doing the real deal, what do you like to do in your free time?
Well, I like to watch WTOP 10 movies on demand.
Yeah, me too. You know, there's such a wide variety of films that anybody on campus can watch.
And it's free.
And it's free.
How do I get to this movies on demand?
Well, all you have to do is go to WTOP10.com and click the Movies on Demand tab.
Hey, let's go watch one right now to review on our next show.